Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It is fantastic you are here. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video from Alex Band and The Calling. And through this song, Wherever You Will Go, which is such an iconic song, we looked at a look at grief in particular and our interactions with it. So I trust you found that a bit of an encouragement. We're going to a bit of bluegrass, country, rock, gospel today. This guy was born in North Carolina in 1936. Now, between 1970 and 2016, that's a very, very long time. We've got 30 studio albums, 8 live albums, 4 compilation albums, 21 videos, and 54 singles. Now, this guy doesn't play the violin, he plays the fiddle. Very much so, incredibly good on the fiddle and also the guitar. The guy we're talking about is Charlie Daniels and his iconic Charlie Daniels Band. Now, unfortunately, Charlie did die last year on the 6th of July 2020 at the age of 83. He had a bit of a hemorrhage. And so certainly wishes after the Daniels family, and Charlie was a well-loved figure in the country music scene in the US, and a lot of people are really sad that this guy has gone. This guy has got an energy and an absolute brilliance of musicianship that can almost unparalleled almost. He has received some awards. He's been inducted in the Cayenne Frontier Hall of Fame in 2003. That's a bit of a nod to his historical and cultural contributions. He's been awarded through the Grand Ole Opry. Now, that's Opry, Opry. I hope I spelled that right. This is a show in the US that's been going since 1925. Now, if sometimes when you look at artists, you'll see Grand Ole Opry in the back when you watch them playing. This is the place we're talking about. 1925. It's a TV show that is going for that length of time. So to be inducted into that is pretty cool indeed. Musicians Hall of Fame in 2009 and the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2016. Just to name a few. But where Charlie Daniels came to life was on stage, and we'll actually get to that in a minute. Now, we can't talk about the Charlie Daniels without talking about one song in particular, and this came off the Million Miles Reflections album in 1979, and the song is The Devil Went Down to Georgia. Now, this song is so unique. This song stands out on its own in the world of music, that is for sure. You can always put the word distinctive in here very, very easily indeed. Talked about the Bee Gees and distinctive a little while back. You know, there's nothing quite like them, and there is nothing quite like this song. Now, if you haven't seen The Devils Went Down to Georgia, there's going to be a clip below, so you can have a check that out in a minute. But the story goes that basically there was Johnny, who was pretty good on the fiddle, and there was the devil who needed a few more souls to steal. So he played a bargain and said, if I can play better than you, Johnny, I'm going to have your soul. If you play them better than me, you can have the golden fiddle. So very much the battle between good and evil here, because Johnny, well, he had a bit of an attitude about him as well. He would just basically say, well, whatever, devil, you know, I'm the best has ever been. So, you know, just whatever you think, sort of thing. And of course, at the end, you know, despite the devil's incredible violin playing, really, in this particular song, he admits defeat to Johnny at the end. Now, I thought about where I was going to go with this today. I could have thought, oh yeah, good versus evil, yeah, that's all very good. I did that a little while back through Carmen with his song "The Champion." I thought, no, I'm thinking more about maybe short-term benefits versus long-term gains today. I'm thinking this is where we're going to head today. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if we look at the golden fiddle for a second. Now, it's very fortunate in this situation that Johnny actually won the golden fiddle, and he didn't lose his soul to the devil. I suppose this is a bit of a good news story out of this particular song. But I think there's something that needs to be said today about the fact that we need things straight away. We live in an instant society. We've got to have the house straight away. We've got to have the beautiful car straight away. We've got to have all of those things straight away. Because life is all about now. It's all about now. It's not about 10, 20 years down the track. It's about now. Now, there is something quite compelling about that as well. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in 10, 20 years' time. And so there's an argument that, yes, we need to enjoy life right now. So if that just means stretching things a bit to make it happen, well, we're going to make it happen. But there's also something else here too, and I talked about this in the Ray Cyrus video, Back to Tennessee, and he was massive with his song Achy Breaky Heart. I know there's that song again. But he recalls, after Hannah Montana finished and all the rest of it, he recalled that there was just something really, really missing in his life. He had all the shiny things and all of the women and the cars and all of the stuff that you get with fame, but there was a big, massive hole in his life. So yes, he certainly did live for now, when now was big, but when now becomes not so compelling, what do you do then? This is the trick. There's something quite cool about taking a longer term view of the world alongside of the now as well. Yes, we need to enjoy life for now. We really, really do. Yes, I'm with you on that one. But we also, at the same time, need to take a long term view as well. So, if we do buy the house and it's expensive and we've got a big mortgage and we think, oh yeah, whatever, we'll just deal with that as we go. And then something happens down the track and, you lose your job or you lose your income producing potential. What happens to the mortgage? Well, I know in Australia that if you take a mortgage out in a house, it gets to a point where you can't pay it back, and let's say the house is worth $300,000, the mortgage is worth $400,000. That $100,000 is going to come out of your personal pocket. This is one of the things to consider when we are. And by the way, I'm not a financial planner. I just know I've just seen too many clients, I suppose, over the years who've had personal guarantees on the excess of mortgages. Because banks aren't silly. They're gonna want to protect their borrowing that they've extended to you. And if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't have a house. And so this is the way it kind of goes. So the long-term view should be something like, well, yes, I'm going to get the house now, but I need to do it in a sustainable way. I need to do it in a way that I'm going to be able to afford. I need to be realistic about my mechanisms and my means of paying things back, as opposed to just getting the massive mortgage and hoping for the best. The same goes with credit cards too. Credit cards are very easy for us to be able to buy things now. We just throw our card at the counter and we walk away with our new iPhone or our new whatever it is. Even deposits on cars can be put on credit card. But then we're faced with this bill at the end of the month, and it will come next month. There's a $20,000 debt, thinking, oh my goodness, how did that happen? And then you look at the minimum repayment and the interest rate and all the rest, and you think, oh man, well, I'll just put it off for now, and I'll just do the same thing again, and we'll just see what happens. The long-term view would say, well, hang on a minute, I should actually try and pay this off before I actually put anything more on it. And when we do get the credit limit extension offers from time to time, perhaps we should think very seriously about not taking them up as a way of just controlling our spending. Something compelling about the long-term view. Yeah, tattoos is another one. I have nothing against people getting tattoos. I'm just wondering though, like, for 30, 40 years down the track, what that's going to look like. Um, but I suppose, we live for now. We live for what is all about now and what we can get out of now, and that involves tattoos. Well, so be it. But what does the long-term view look like in that particular situation? I'm not judging anyone here, by the way. I'm just really saying it as it is today, because we're comparing this living in the now to the longer term view, and how do we reconcile those two things? I must admit, I don't really have an answer for that either. I suppose for me, I do take a bit of a longer term view, and maybe by doing that, I'm missing out on the now a bit. I mean, it's interesting to know how we actually deal with this stuff at times. Well, Johnny was very fortunate to get a golden fiddle. He actually gambled eternity in this particular situation by putting up his soul. Now, there's an argument to say that Johnny looked at his golden fiddle and thought, wow, this came from the devil. Yeah, it's good now, but it might lose its shine going down the track. I mean, we talk about cars and we talk about honeymoon periods in cars. We buy a car. It might be a $150,000 red Ferrari, or it might be a really expensive car. Not that there's anything wrong with a red Ferrari, mind you. I'd love to drive a red Ferrari. That would be really, really cool. But honeymoon periods in cars, we wash them for 6 months, and then they kind of lose their shine a little bit, and we just sort of drive around. We're kind of happy that we've got them, but the glowing kind of interaction with them kind of goes after time. They say that with pay rises, the motivational impact of a pay rise lasts about 2 weeks. We kind of just move on from it a little bit. So I'm wondering whether chasing after the now, as we tend to do a little bit in this society, really nothing may satisfy that particular thing. We think, oh yeah, I'll just get the next thing, I'll get the next thing, and I'll get the next thing. And it doesn't really solve the emptiness we might be feeling. So instead of looking at our character, what makes us tick as a human being, and what really resonates with us, we hope that the buying the thing will resonate, and sometimes it doesn't. We may kind of appreciate that we've got it, I suppose, but yeah, the shine goes off it really, really quickly. Just something to think about today, I'm thinking, as we consider this devil went down to Georgia today. So I trust that will be an encouragement for you today, as for me as well, consider this long-term sustainable use versus the short-term now. It's an interesting one, that is for sure. It's funny, I was in a group last night, we were talking about this very thing. It's funny how, often that happens. There's a conversation, and then there's an opportunity to talk about it through the golden fiddle versus selling your soul, which is what the devil went down to Georgia is all about. So anyway, let's get on to the clips. And yes, we have to have The Devil Went Down to Georgia. This is a live clip, and when I say live, I mean absolutely live. Charlie Daniels has a way. He is an incredible fiddler, by the way. He also plays guitar, and he can sing pretty well. When you see the ferociousness, I think that's the best word to use of this live clip, and how he just pushes his guitarist in particular just to keep up. And the guitarist does that because Charlie Daniels just has that way about him. You'll see what I mean by how an incredible performer he is, and how unique and distinctive The Devil Went Down to Georgia actually is. So again, off the Million Miles Reflections album from 1979, that's a live, absolutely fantastic live version. We then got Simple Man. Now this is a bit more of a political type of song, about wondering where the world is going a little bit. And again, I suppose looking at the short term now versus the long term view a little bit. Came off the album of the same name in 1989. That's the official clip, and you'll get to see some of the beliefs that Charlie has about life. And you think, oh, okay, that's interesting. But there's some other lines in there that are real gems. And I must admit, I wondered the same things sometimes about it myself. And then we've also got The South's Gonna Do It. This came off the Fire on the Mountain album from 1974. In fact, The South's Gonna Do It again, I should say. This is a live version of this particular song. So, again, you'll get to see him probably in his slightly younger days, because The Devil Went Down to Georgia is kind of getting a bit on a bit here. And you can see even at his age, he's still got it. Oh my goodness, still got it. In fact, when you look at the bow of the violin, you see that some of the strands of the bow are actually breaking off. That's how hard he plays. The violin's just got to keep up. And you notice that he kisses his violin at the end. It's kind of just a bit of an endearment to the violin getting him through it yet again. And so The South's Gonna Do It, Fire Off the Mountain, 1974. That's a live version of that particular song. Now, all three clips are in the description below. That's where you'll always find my links. And by the way, if you want a recap on The Calling, that one's there for you to have a look at as well. Well, that's it for today. If you've come back for another video, fantastic that you've done so. Very, very great when you come back. And if this is your first time to Life Reflections Through Music, thank you for coming to the channel. And I encourage you to come back for some more, because there's no shortage of content to come. The astute amongst you might be realising by now that I'm basically working through my artists in alphabetical order. I'm only up to C. I did do some E's at the start, but I'm up to C. So we've got a lot of content to come indeed. In fact, I'll probably never get to the end. So think of bands like ZZ Top, for instance. I'd love to do some stuff about them. But they're right down to the very, very end. Of course, if one of you out there think, oh, I'd love him to do a ZZ Top, I can't even say it, ZZ Top song. There we go, I said it. Just put it in the request, and yes, we can get ZZ Top in a bit sooner. That would be really, really cool as well. So that's it for today. I hope it's been an encouragement for you today as we look about now versus the longer term. Next time we're going to go on to iconic American band Cheap Trick. So until then, I'll catch you around.